out of my heart, replying to some comments. What is a hybrid? 250 eggs, the killing of the chicks, our experience with hybrids, how we are treating life in general. Hi guys, this is Simeon from Swedish Homestead. In this video today I want to respond to some comments that I received on my last video that was called the best chicken breed outperforming all others. If you haven't seen the video, click here and you can watch that video. So I have not had all information in that previous video that I've wanted to share. The video was getting very long. I've also received some comments and some questions, and I would like to talk a little bit about that. And one thing that has been coming up is you talk about the best performing chicken breed and stuff. What about hybrids? Aren't they so much better economically and everything? And I would like to respond to that. So first of all, my video was about heritage chicken breeds. It was not about hybrids. I was comparing the dual purpose chicken breeds and how they perform, and the hybrids in both egg production and meat production, that's something else. But I would like to talk about that a little bit in this video. So first off, what is a hybrid? Well, technically, if I take two heritage breeds and I crossbreed them, their children would be considered hybrids already, because they don't carry on the exact characteristics of those other chicken breeds, and there is a effect in this crossbreeding that will cause the many characteristics to be stronger. Better eggs, more egg production, faster growth, and all of that. Now, they're hybrids because if you would continue to breed with those children, the grandchildren, they would, from the original heritage breeds, they would lose those characteristics again, okay? So that is generally the term hybrid. Now, when we talk about hybrid today, we don't really mean that. When in the common language, when we talk about hybrid, you know, we really mean the hybrids that are being used for either egg production or the broiler, like the Cornish cross, for example. So let me share real quick our experience with hybrids. We have raised broilers before, and we will be raising broiler on pasture even in the upcoming years. We have also had hybrids for egg production. Now, my dad, as a hobby, he has had heritage breed chickens since the 80s. And for the past few years, we have sold eggs here on the farm. And we started off by getting some layers that an organic farm wanted to get rid of, some hybrid layers, and we got those for free, and that's how we started our egg production. Now, after 9 months, the industrial farms get rid of those layers. They have no economical interest in them anymore, and they just kill them. They don't use them for anything. They just get rid of them, and it's cheaper for them even to give them away than to have to kill them. So we got them. This came from an organic farm. They were in such bad shape. They were almost completely naked, and yeah, it was not nice. They stopped laying for 6 weeks because we thought, wow, what's happening here? Because they were just trying to recover, build up the feathers and everything. It took them this long before they started laying, and then so that was our experience. Okay, so the history is that I really wanted to get away from that. I wanted to be able to hatch my own chickens, which you can't do with hybrids, because even if you would have a rooster, which you can't get, but even if you would have a rooster, the children would not keep the characteristics. I wanted to hatch my own chickens. I wanted to be independent from these big world market controlling companies. There are about 2 or 3 main companies that control the whole market with the hybrids. Okay, they earn a lot of money on that. I wanted to be independent from that, and my biggest issue was that in the industrial farming, that in Sweden, for example, every day 100,000 chicks hatch for egg production. Now 50% of those chicks about are roosters, and 50% about are hens. And the roosters, they have no interest in them, so they kill them. You know, they don't lay eggs, so they kill them right after they hatch. They either grind them up alive or they gas them to death, and then they're being thrown away. So I have a big problem with that. In that kind of food raising, life is not looked at as life, it's looked at as something mechanic. As I have a lot of ethical issues with this, and I didn't want to support that anymore. So what we do on the farm with heritage breeds and a dual purpose breed, we can raise the roosters for meat and we can have the layers for eggs. Now that's how it has been forever, for all time since people have kept chickens. The hybrids, when this all started to come up more and more, the dual purpose breeds really got neglected because there was more money in this whole hybrid thing. Now let me talk about some other ethical issues and the whole industrial work with the hybrids. Because they have selected them so strongly for these specific characteristics, their performance, growth and production is not natural anymore, and it is actually not good for the animal anymore. You see, the layers are such small and tiny chickens, the proportion of the weight of the egg in proportion to the chicken is so little. Like, they get rid of so much body weight every time they lay an egg. It's not good. They don't get breaks very often. They're being kept with man-made daylight and all of that, and they produce so many eggs that often eggs are bloody when they come out because of infections. It's just not a nice thing. So that is an ethical issue that I have. The hybrids, the Cornish cross, for example, on the meat production side, they were created specifically for confinement chicken houses, for the industrial raising. Now they're being raised without ever seeing sunlight, without ever getting fresh air, in dust, in their manure, and they breathe that in, and that's why they get heavy medication in order to actually survive that kind of environment. Many of them, see, they were selected so strongly and some people call it effectively for growth, that they grow so fast, both their bones and their organs cannot keep up with that weight, and many of them collapse, many of them get organ failures, and they carry out dead birds out of the stables daily. So hybrids are not very hardy, they're very ultra sensitive, and they have very little brains as well. So in our egg production here on the farm, for example, where 6 to 7 months of the year, our chickens free range pretty much. We have them inside of an electric poultry netting. The hybrids won't be able to do that as well, because they don't know how to run for shelter when a hawk comes. They get killed more often, plus they fly over the poultry netting, which we have never ever had a problem with our heritage breeds that are heavier and calmer. So all of that being said, some people argue, we need to feed the world, and there's something called the food conversion ratio. How many pounds of feed do you need for a certain, let's say, for 1 pound of body weight on the chicken. Now the broilers, you feed them about 2.1 pounds of feed and they gain 1 pound of body weight. Now you have some slower growing broiler hybrid chickens. They're called different names in the world. Here they're called Roan Ranger. I think in the States they're called Freedom Rangers. They have a ratio that's close to 3 pounds of feed to 1 pound of weight. A heritage chicken breed, many of them lay about 6 pounds of feed to 1 pound of weight. The Bresse that I was talking about in my previous video, they have a ratio of 4 pounds of feed to 1 pound of body weight. Now, that is very, very, very good for a heritage breed. Still, hybrids obviously perform better. Now, here's the thing though. People might say, so we need to plant less grain to feed the hybrids. That means less destruction, less tilling, less environmental influence on the environment and all of that. Well, here's the thing. We raise our chickens here on the farm. There are no transportation for eggs, for hatching, for chicks. We are able to do that because we can select our own eggs. We only raise meat chickens and sell them during the summertime. They are on pasture. Their manure goes right into the pasture. They eat 20% from the pasture that you don't have to feed them grain from. And there's no hauling in of bedding, there's no hauling out of manure. They get slaughtered and processed on the farm, there's no transportation, all of that, so you have way less of all of that. Now, let's also not forget the historical place of the chickens. Every household used to have chickens, and they would take care of all the kitchen scraps. There were no grains involved whatsoever for the most part. So today, you know, we grind up the kitchen scraps and flush them down the drain, or we just throw them away. Well, historically, you know, there didn't have to be tilling for the chicken because they would take care of garden scraps, kitchen scraps, and all of that. So today, another thing is that the broiler industry, the meat industry, they produce chicken, they produce meat for so cheap in these confined chicken houses. And when I say cheap, all food with quality, and even chicken, and every egg and every chicken has its price. It's just a question if the customer is paying the price or if the animal is paying the price. And in industrial raising, the animal pays the price, with, you know, breathing the dust, never seeing daylight, never having sun, fresh air, all of that kind of stuff. Well, we produce chicken for so cheap, and the Western world only pretty much in comparison uses mainly white breast meat, that we send lots of the wings and legs to Africa, and there are lots of chicken farmers there that have gone out of business because they cannot raise chicken so as cheap as the chicken parts are that we ship down there. So they have gone out of business, and some have lost their whole everything they have, and some have committed suicide. That has also been an influence on this. Now, those are just some thoughts there and some ethical issues that I have. Another question that came up was, well, the Bresse, that's nice and fine that they start laying early, but how is their egg size and everything, and aren't hybrids, don't they produce better eggs and better meat and all of that? Well, here's the thing, some information that I didn't have in the video yesterday. The Bresse lay very, very, very early. They also lay a lot of eggs. Now, one of the hatcheries that sells these in Germany, they list them with 250 eggs per year. Now that is, people are working constantly on selecting better hens, and this is obviously a very high number, and I believe that that hatchery is really reaching that. That is very high for a heritage breed, for a dual purpose breed. In practically seen, you need to be a very good chicken farmer to get that many, but even if it would be 50 eggs less, it's still very good for a dual purpose breed. Now, their eggs are also very big in size, 63.5 grams per egg in average for the Bresse. Now, are hybrid eggs better than eggs from heritage chickens? Is meat from hybrid meat chickens, broilers, Cornish cross for example, better than the meat from heritage breeds? Well, there's a difference in taste, but I would say absolutely not. The shells from eggs from heritage breeds are always thicker, both on brown hybrid layers and white hybrid layers. Heritage breeds have a thicker, nicer shell. They usually have a firmer yolk, and like the Bielefelder chicken and the Bresse chicken both have bigger eggs, for example, than the hybrids. When we had hybrids, we just had so many issues. Their shells were just thin, and it was just a pain. Now, meat-wise, and I can just say, every customer from us who has ever eaten a chicken from us, they're like, wow, that was so good. People today have forgotten how chickens are supposed to taste. The older generations, when I give them a chicken as a gift, for example, because we haven't started selling them yet, but I've handed out samples so people will hear about us and taste our food so we can sell next year. What I've heard over and over again, this is how it used to taste. This is how it's supposed to taste, I believe. The slower growth, healthier meat, because there are more omega-3 fats in it when they free range outside and stuff. That's how it's supposed to taste. The meat from broilers is by no means better. Now there's a big difference if you raise a broiler on pasture in a chicken tractor like we do it, or if you raise a broiler in a confinement chicken house. There's a big difference in that. But the heritage breeds are very, very, very good to eat. The Bresse actually is considered, and that's not me making that up or anybody, but it's worldwide considered to be the most tasty chicken in the world. Now, I agree that they're not all the answers. I agree that there are difficulties and challenges here with the heritage breeds and everything, but think about if just a little percentage of all the resources, all the time, all the money that has gone into breeding and research for hybrids, just a little percentage of that would go into the research and breeding and selecting of heritage breeds. How much more would we accomplish there? So I think we can say, oh, there's just no comparison, where in reality there has been such an imbalance in how we use the resources. Personally also, I think the reason why hybrids are so popular right now is because the animal pays the price and the price for the customer is low. Plus, it's not really because, I don't believe, because people care so much about, oh, like that, better food conversion, better feed conversion, better, we're saving the environment. No. I believe that the companies can make more money on that, and that is the main reason for this. So these are some thoughts that I have. My biggest point is really the killing of the chicks right after birth. To me, that's just unacceptable, and really just how we are treating life in general. So, I don't want to be judging of other people. I want to say my opinion here. We have gone through this process. People need to know this for themselves. So I hope you enjoyed this. This was out of my heart, replying to some comments that people have. And I respect if you disagree with me, and we can agree to disagree on this. So thank you so much, and see you in the next video.